everyone, I am Priyanka Wilson and welcome to GS course series of Decoding the UPSC Syllabus with macro detailing of topics. In this session, Prince Mishra sir will be dealing with the Economic Geography section of the syllabus. So guys, if you like this video, please share and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Thank you.
Hello everyone. In this session, we will continue our discussion of micro detailing of topics of GS Geography for UPSC Prelims and Mains. In previous two sessions, we already have discussed the micro details, the subtopics related to the world physical geography, India physical geography and the map location. In this session, we will look out the subtopics related to the economic geography. If you will go with the UPSC syllabus, you will find the mentioning of economic geography both at the prelims stage and the mains stage. In the prelims stage, it is explicitly written as economic geography. It is explicitly written as economic geography of India and world. So you are supposed to study the economic geography in your prelims. Now when you will look out the main syllabus, then you will find in the main syllabus the economic geography is being mentioned under the topic of distribution of key natural resources across the world, and also the topics like factors responsible for location of primary, secondary, tertiary sector industries. So economic geography primarily mentioned under two broader subheads, that is the resources and industries in your main syllabus. Other than this, also you will find that you will have a mentioning of geographical features and their locational changes in critical geographical feature. So UPSC is giving you some hints, some idea that what is this critical geographical features. So in that critical geographical features, they are referring to the water bodies, that is water resources. So water bodies and ice caps and in flora and fauna. So flora and fauna and the effect of such changes. So this is what you will get from the UPSC syllabus. Now when you will look out the economic geography broadly is under the human geography. Economic geography is mainly associated with the activities which humans are doing, because it is part of the human geography. So it is associated with the activities that the humans are doing in generalized way for the living. So for the living purpose, whatever the activity is being done by the humans is being referred as the economic activity. Primarily anything that is related with the production, consumption and exchange. So in anything where production, consumption and exchange is involved, obviously that can be referred as the economic activity. Now in this economic activity, you need to be very clear that when you will refer the economic activity, so economic activity is associated with the economy and also the economic geography. So whether the topics that you are supposed to study in geography is the same as what you will study in the economy. So for the students who is not from the geography optional background, they need to know it very clearly that the topics that you are going to study in the economic geography is completely different. If the topics are not different, might be you will find that there are some topics which appears to be common in both economic geography and economy. Please be very clear, the orientation to study, the approach to study will be different. So whenever the topics will be studied in the economic geography, it will be studied from the perspective of core geographical approach. So what is this core geographical approach? You need to know it. Core geographical approach is where the distribution is involved, where variation is involved. This variation is at two levels. That is at spatial level, which is in the space, and also it is in the it is at temporal level, that is the variation within the time. So whatever the economic activity you are supposed to study under the economic geography, you need to very clear that you need to study with the temporal and spatial variation approach. This is very important thing that you need to know before starting the topics. Now what are the topics you are supposed to study under this? Broadly the economic geography, under the economic geography, mainly the topics of agriculture, the resources, industry, transport and communication you are supposed to study. So these are the main topics under which you need to study the economic geography. Resources, it's a very broad term. So resources, even the agriculture is part of the resources. Land resources, it's an individual resource, but also in one way or other it is associated with the agriculture. Water as a resource, forest as a resource, mineral as a resource, energy as a resource. So we have a wide scope of resources, but primarily you need to focus three of the resources individually, because land resources definitely is part of agriculture. So primarily you are supposed to focus water resources, mineral resources, energy resources. So these are the three topics of the resources and the agriculture, industry, transport and communication that you are supposed to mainly study. Now what you are supposed to study in the agriculture, what will be the micro topics, definitely will look, but beforehand let me make it very clear, one very important thing for most of the new students who are just starting their preparation, that in geography you will find, specifically from the 2013 onward, when the UPSC have changed its mains scheme of examination, the mains pattern of examination. So in geography, it is part of your GS-1 and also some of the topics of economic geography is part of GS-3. So in general, if you will look out past 5 years analysis, you will find roughly 110 to 120 marks are being asked from the geography. Now in this 120 marks, you need to know that the major proportion of questions are being asked from the human and economic geography. So in the examination, in mains examination, the weightage of human and economic geography is continuously increasing. And in human and economic geography, primarily the questions are being asked from the economic geography. So in mains, economic geography is very much synonymous with the human and economic geography. At the prelims stage, obviously you will have a lot of questions are being asked from the human geography also. But at the mains stage, most of the questions are being asked from the economic perspective. So economic geography weightage is very high in case of mains examination. So that you need to know very clearly before starting the preparation itself. Also, it doesn't mean that the economic geography is only useful for the mains examination. Regularly, questions being asked from the economic geography in prelims also. So, economic geography is important for both of your prelims stage and the mains stage. Now, we'll look out the individual topics that you are supposed to study. So, agriculture is the most basic activity. Agriculture is the primary activity. Agricultural activity is the activity which is being performed on the lithosphere. So it is the activity which is being performed over the lithosphere, and what are the topics that you are supposed to study in the agriculture? First of all, you need to have idea about the agriculture. What is this agriculture? What are the different activities are part of agriculture? Whether the agriculture is only associated with the cultivation of crops or agriculture is something else. So you need to know the basic idea of agriculture, because agriculture is a very wide term. Agriculture is not only the raising the crops, agriculture is also associated with allied activities. So raising the crops particularly, then you will have the rearing animals, then forestry, then fishing, all these are part of agriculture. So basic idea of agriculture you need to know. Then also you need to know that what are the different types of agriculture is being performed, what are the different types of farming is being done. So different types of the farming you need to know. Then India, from the India perspective, when you will look out, the India is mainly an agricultural economy based country. Almost more than 50% of our population is involved in agriculture. So we need to know the agriculture from the Indian perspective. So what are the main features, what are the main problems associated with the Indian agriculture? Why most of the people are not comfortable in continuing agriculture? Almost on daily basis 2000 farmers quit the farming. And also we know that the country like India, where the population is increasing, we are supposed to surpass the China by 2027. So when we will surpass the China, we will become the most populous country. In that perspective, we require huge quantity of food. So the food requirement is increasing. So on one hand, food requirement is increasing. On the other hand, the more and more farmers are quitting the farming. Then how the demand and supply will be matched? So the issue of food security, how the food security will be managed. So within that perspective, the features and problems of Indian agriculture. Then particularly, what are the different cropping seasons we have? So we have primarily the Rabi cropping season, Kharif cropping season, Zaid cropping season. What are the different crops that are happens to be Kharif crop? What are the different crops that are happens to be the Rabi crop? What is this Zaid crop? Then when you will get to know the different crops, like you will have some of the food grains, some of the millet, some of the oil seeds. So food grain crops, millet crops, oil seeds, pulses, cash crops like sugarcane, cotton, jute, plantation crop, tea, coffee, palm oil. So all these, you need to look out these different crops and where these crops are being cultivated. So you need to look out the distribution within the space and within the time. So temporal distribution is based on when the crop is being cultivated, whether it's a Rabi crop, Kharif crop, Zaid crop. Because the crop is being cultivated based on the soil condition, based on the climatic condition, based on its water requirement. So depending upon that, only crop will be cultivated in some particular season. So temporal variation, but also that climatic condition, that requirement will not be available throughout the country. Soil is different in different part of the country. So we have black soil, we have the red soil, we have the alluvial soil in different part of the country. So if you will have the alluvial soil, so might be it is not that much suited for the millet crops. Red soil is more suited for the millet crop as compared to the wheat. So depending upon that, the crop will be cultivated differently in the different area. That is why you need to know the distribution of the crop in both temporal and the spatial variation. Then the modernization of agriculture. If you will go with the history of agriculture, then you will find at the time of independence, 2/3 of our population was involved in agriculture, but agriculture was not performing well. And in fact, that was the time period when there was a large scale condition of unavailability of the food grains, drought, flooding condition, famine condition. Because of that, the food requirement of the people was not being fulfilled, and in that case, the government was importing a lot of food grains to just continue the supply. But even that supply has been threatened in the backdrop of some of the international situations, specifically in the backdrop of Cold War. And then the government have decided to prioritize this agriculture and go for the modernization. The modernization is very much synonymous in India with the Green Revolution. Green Revolution that has been launched in 1970s with the objective of increasing the food grain supply. So the main approach in the Green Revolution was to apply the HYV seed, high yield variety seeds, that have been primarily developed by the Norman Borlaug and his team, and they have developed it, and the same seeds has been tested in Indian climate and it has been introduced. When the green revolution has been launched, because we are having the paucity of time, we are not having that sufficient time period, and we were almost having the hurry to just perform. So we were having pressure to perform. Because of that, the green revolution have been launched in selected area. So few area have been selected as a pioneer region, and in that pioneer region the green revolution has been initiated. So the pioneer region that has been selected happens to be Punjab, Haryana and Western UP. Obviously the green revolution has given a phenomenal result. It has changed the whole perspective, whole dynamics of the Indian agriculture. But when you will look out the Indian agriculture in the present form, then you will find agriculturally we have some developed area and some poor area. In the present context, you will look out India, you will find the area where the green revolution have been initiated in starting, those are the area that happens to be agricultural developed. Remaining area are very much lagged. So even the area that has been selected have performed well, but the other area have not performed well. So you can say it was a deliberate regional planning, a kind of development activity that was deliberately being done, so that other area have become more and more poor. So when you will have some of the area in your country as a developed, and when you will have some of area in your country that is not developed, we call it as regional imbalance. So it was a deliberate regional imbalance strategy, that is green revolution anyway. So modernization in India started with the green revolution. Then we have some other revolution, and the most important revolution happens to be the white revolution. White revolution is associated with increasing demand, increasing production of the milk. Now this white revolution you need to know that white revolution was very much linked up with the green revolution, because when the farmers' income have grown, when the farmers were having some surplus money, they have started purchasing some cattle, some buffaloes. When they have purchased cattle, buffalo, then they have started selling the milk. So the milk supply have increased within the backdrop of some of the earnings that they have through the green revolution. Anyway, then comes the dry land agriculture. Dry land agriculture is one of the type of agriculture. So we have the different types of the farming, we have the different types of agriculture in India, and out of that, one of the type of agriculture is your dry land agriculture. Dry land agriculture is being performed in the area where there is no irrigation facility. Where there is no irrigation facility, and if the agriculture is being done in area where there is no irrigation and the rainfall, the annual rainfall is less than 75 centimeter. So if the annual rainfall is less than 75 centimeter and the crop is being cultivated, so that area is referred as dry land agriculture area. Most of our pulses, most of our oil seed, most of our millets of our country is being produced in the dry land area. So do not try to make a perception that dry land agriculture or the dry land region means it is the only poor region. Yes, we have some of the problems of poverty in the dry land area, but it doesn't mean that the dry land agriculture is being performed in the area where only poverty or which is not having any contribution in our agriculture. It is having very huge contribution. As I said that the most of our oil seeds, millets, pulses comes from the dry land area. But yes, there exists a lot of problems in the dry land area, and that is why we need to resolve those problems, we need to resolve those issues. Like one very important issue is the unavailability of water. So definitely we can look out some of the other mechanism through which we can increase the earnings of the people through more and more industrialization, through more and more forestry activity, allied activities like horticulture, some other phenomena. Then comes the issue of productivity. Now the agricultural productivity is one very important issue that you need to know. India after green revolution have become a self-sufficient in the food grain. When you will look out the net sown area of our country, net sown area of our country is around 142 million hectare. So around 142 million hectare is our net sown area, which is highest in the world. So India is the 7th largest country in terms of area, but in terms of agriculture, the net sown area is highest. In spite of having the largest area under cultivation, हमारे यहाँ पे क्या problem है? Still we are having the problem of less availability of the food grains, less availability of the food, and if less availability of the food means definitely we have the lesser production. So you need to know that you might have come across several times that because the population is increasing and so we require more food, and we require more food means we need to look out more area for the cultivation. So it is not the area that we need to increase. Our focus should be to increase the efficiency. Efficiency means what? We need to increase our agricultural productivity. So India is having low agricultural productivity in most of the crops. So we need to improve our agricultural productivity. For that we need to identify the area where agricultural productivity is low, and if the agricultural productivity is low in these area, we need to identify that what are the main problems, and we need to look out the individual solutions. Now then we have allied agricultural activity. Like you will find that the government is trying very hard to increase the farmers' income. So government is trying very hard to double the farmers' income, and if government is trying to double the farmers' income, doubling the farmers' income doesn't mean that the farmer should just continue to cultivate the same crop. Farmers should just continue to cultivate the rice, wheat, irrespective of whether that rice, wheat cultivation is profitable or not. So here comes the role of allied agricultural activity. There are certain regions of our country where might be the conventional cultivation of the crop is not useful. Like in the Punjab, Haryana region, obviously these are very developed region, agricultural developed region, but these are semi-arid area, and in the semi-arid area cultivation of crops like rice, cultivation of the crops like wheat is not that much suitable, it is not justifiable. So why it is not justifiable? Because most of the cultivation of rice, most of the cultivation of wheat is being done through the use of groundwater. So when we are using more and more groundwater, obviously the groundwater depletion will happen, and in the longer term more and more desertification is being witnessed. So within that backdrop, we need to look out some other activities also which can give the profit, because the farmer should not just think of cultivation, the farmer should only think of profit, that whether they are making the profit or not. So the profit can be made through some of the other activity. That is the reason why we need to promote the allied activity and the allied agricultural activities. So you need to study the allied agricultural activities also, like you will have the beekeeping, you will have the horticulture, you will have the milk production, dairy farming, cattle rearing, so all these, poultry farming, meat industry, so all these will be part of allied agricultural activity. And then the very important issue, how the agriculture is affecting the climate change. Obviously we have a very elaborate idea. IPCC report and some other reports have suggested that how climate change is going to impact the people, how the climate change will impact the agriculture, other sectors. But we should not only look out that how the agriculture will get affected by the climate change, also we need to look out that how the climate change is affecting the agriculture. Now agricultural issues and challenges. So most of the agricultural issues that some of the recent issues that the country is facing, like you must be aware that almost there was a farmers protest for more than 1.5 years. So why the farmers were protesting? What were their main demand? Whether their demand is associated with some of the faulty agricultural practices. If India have developed, if India have done very well in agriculture, specifically in the areas where the green revolution have been launched, then why the farmers are protesting? So all these areas, all these topics you will study under the agriculture issues and challenges. Challenges like you will have the most of our cultivation of rice, cultivation of wheat and sugarcane, cotton is based on the water. So these are the water intensive crop, and country's water resources is depleting. More and more water aquifers are getting dried up. सो हमारे वाटर की कमी हो रही, एंड इफ यू आर लैकिंग द वाटर, इफ वी आर हैविंग द dearth of water, so within that backdrop how we need to look out some other crop. What is this crop diversification? How the crop diversification will solve some of the problems related to the effect of climate change on agriculture. So all these you will study in the agricultural issues and challenges. So these are the topics that you are supposed to study in the agriculture. Now you need to very clear that, as I said in starting itself, that the economic geography वेटेज इज कंटिन्यूसली इंक्रीजिंग इन मेंस. तो मेंस में तो एग्रीकल्चर से सवाल पूछा ही जाएगा. उसके साथ में आप ध्यान रखिए कि एग्रीकल्चर से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस बीइंग आस्क्ड इन द प्रीलिम्स ऑलमोस्ट रेगुलरली. ईयर अपॉन ईयर यू विल गेट 5 to 7 क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम एग्रीकल्चर इन योर प्रीलिम्स एग्जामिनेशन, एंड दीज आर द क्वेश्चंस व्हिच इज नॉट फ्रॉम द scientific orientation, which you cannot say is the agricultural science question. So these are the questions that are from agricultural geography. Like one of the questions related to the organic farming. So the modern organic farming in India, consider the following statement. The National Program for Organic Production is operated under the guidelines and direction of the Union Ministry of Rural Development. The Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority functions as the Secretariat for the implementation of NPOP. Sikkim has become India's first fully organic state. Which of the statement given above is correct? One more question. Among the agricultural commodities imported by India, which one of the following accounts for the highest import in terms of value in last 5 years? So for that you need to know the agricultural dynamics. Like in India, India is self-sufficient in most of the agricultural produce barring 2 products, that is oil seeds and pulses. तो oil seed भी हम import करते हैं, pulses भी करते हैं, लेकिन अगर आप इकोनॉमिक टर्म में वैल्यू की बात करेंगे तो ऑब्वियसली हमारा जो ऑयल्स का इंपोर्ट है दैट इज हायर. Anyway, now if you will look out the mains question, then you will find questions like what are the major factors responsible for making rice wheat system a success. तो rice wheat system a success कहने का मतलब है simply question is being asked from the green revolution. So सीधा सीधा green revolution से question पूछा जा रहा. So what are the major factors responsible for making rice wheat system a success? That is green revolution. In spite of this success, how has this system becomes bane in India? So this question is clearly being asked from the perspective of farmers' protest or simply agricultural crisis. The agricultural crisis that the country is facing. Now next, how far is integrated farming system helpful in sustaining agricultural production? How has the emphasis on certain crops brought about changes in cropping pattern? So issues of cropping pattern in recent past. Elaborate the emphasis of millet production and consumption. So this is how the questions are being asked from the agriculture. So if you will just look out the topics that I have suggested, most of the questions definitely you can tackle, most of the question you can solve both in prelims and mains examination. Now moving to the next topic of economic geography. Resources, mineral resources. Now mineral resources is very important. Mineral resources is very important for the economic development of any country. Now first of all you need to know that what is the mineral resources. What are the different types of the mineral resources? Which is the metallic mineral, which is not metallic mineral? Which is the ferric metallic mineral, which is non-ferrous metallic mineral? Then distribution of these minerals. In which part of the country you will find the mineral? Which mineral is present where? Where you will find iron ore? Where you will find manganese? Where you will find copper? And if the iron ore is present in the peninsula, if iron ore is present in Chota Nagpur Plateau and the particularly southern peninsula, in Karnataka, in Goa, so why that? Why it is present there? So distribution of these minerals. Then what are the particularly issue of depletion of mineral resources? What is this excessive use of mineral resources? What are the issues that mining is facing in India? So some of the mining issues, specifically the environmental issues related to the mining. What are the different problems that the miners face? So even the people working in the mines, they also face lot of issues. Then why this conservation is required? Because mineral resources are something which is very important for the development, economic development of the country. So this mineral, if the mineral are very important for the development of the country, so in longer run we need to look out that we need to conserve, then only there can be a development in the future. And this conservation will be associated with sustainable use of minerals. So issue of sustainable development. Now if you will look out the questions, so regularly questions being asked in your prelims examination and also mains examination, like consider the following minerals. So which of the above is are officially designated as major minerals? So which is major mineral, minor mineral? Despite India being one of the countries of the Gondwana land, its mining industry contributes much less to its gross domestic product in the percentage discussed. So why our mining industry, our mining performance is not that high? Why is India taking keen interest in the resources of Arctic region? Now the next important topic of economic geography is energy resources. Energy resources, which is in general also very important for the development of any country, not only in India. And energy is something which is driving most of the things. So in the present context, if you will just start visualizing, even we are communicating. So we are communicating with the whatever the mode you can talk, you can say technology, internet, but ultimately it is being driven by the energy. Whatever the development humans are talking, be it related to the internet, communication, industry, everything is based on the energy. Energy is one thing which will decide the fate of humanity. So within that backdrop, the energy is very important. So first of all, you need to look out, you need to know what are the different sources of energy. Then how the energy is being classified. What is this conventional energy sources, non-conventional energy sources. Also, what is this renewable, non-renewable sources. So renewable sources are those sources that will get renewed, which can be used continuously. So in a way they will get regenerated. Non-renewables are those that will not, that are present in the limited quantity. And non-renewable sources are the sources that happens to be the conventional. So you will have the coal, petroleum, natural gas. So coal, petroleum, natural gas happens to be the non-renewable resources. Where these coal, petroleum and natural gas is present, their distribution. In fact, the harnessing the energy from the non-renewable sources, conventional sources happens to be very easy. That is the reason why throughout the world, most of the electricity that is being generated is through the coal. In India, more than 55% of our energy, our electricity is being fulfilled with the burning of coal. And we know that burning of the coal is most important reason for the global warming climate change. Because the burning of the fossils, burning of the coal will release carbon dioxide primarily, and this carbon dioxide will trap the particularly insolation, outgoing radiation, and it acts like a greenhouse gas. That is the reason why the temperature will increases. So coal is very harmful from the environmental aspect, from the climate aspect. In spite of that, People are burning the coal. Why they are burning? Because the coal is easily available. Coal is easily available and the harnessing energy from the coal is very easy. तो बहुत easily हम लोग energy produce कर लेंगे. And as I said that environment, climate, everything is important. लेकिन आपके लिए ज़्यादा important होगा कि अगर आप घर में बैठे हैं, so you should just enjoy all the appliances that you will have in your houses. So because of that, energy is immediately required. So we require immediately energy. Definitely all the other things is important, but from the human's perspective, if you look out, then you will find they require energy and easily energy is available from the conventional sources. That is why more and more energy is being produced through the burning of coal. But yes, we know that this burning of the coal, burning of fossil fuel is not good for the environment, for the planet. That is the reason we need to look out some other sources, that is renewable sources, non-conventional sources. So what are some of the non-conventional sources of energy? We have the solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, also hydrogen as a fuel for future. So these are some of the issues that you need to study in the energy. Excessive use of energy sources. Then what is this energy crisis? When the demand will not be fulfilled through the supply, obviously you will have a crisis like situation. Then energy security. Energy security means everyone should have the availability of energy. Not only the availability of energy, this availability of energy should be cheap and affordable. So it should be available, it should be affordable, and also it should be clean in the present form. So in the present context, when we say energy security, it involves three important issues. Issue of availability, issue of affordability, and issue of clean energy. It should be a clean, it should be affordable, it should be easily available. Now you will find that the questions is being asked from this topic regularly, like in which of the following regions of India shale gas resources are found. Shale gas you will find in the shale rocks. So Cambay Basin, Kaveri Basin, Krishna Godavari Basin. Then with reference to the solar power production in India, consider the following statement. India is the third largest in the world in the manufacture of silicon wafers used in photovoltaic units. The solar power tariffs are determined by the Solar Energy Corporation of India. Which of the statement given above are correct? Then you will have a questions like describe the benefits of deriving electric energy from sunlight in contrast to the conventional energy generation. So what are the benefits that we are going to get? What are the initiatives offered by our government for this purpose? So what programs government have launched? What is this national solar mission? What are the different objectives of this national solar mission? Then India has immense potential of solar energy, though there are regional variation in its development. So we have throughout India, most of the countries in subtropical region, and being a subtropical country means we have more than 9 to 10 months of the year when you will have the sunlight is in huge quantity. So in higher proportion sunlight insolation is available. In that backdrop we will find potential is huge. But when it comes to the particularly generation of energy, only in few pockets in India you will find energy is being produced through the solar energy. So in that backdrop the question has been asked. Discuss the multi-dimensional implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. How the mineral oil is distributed throughout the world. Next we have water resources. So water resources happens to be very important, one of the resources, and in this water resources first you need to know its presence, quantification. So what proportion of fresh water we have, what proportion of saline water we have, in which area you will have the fresh water, So water distribution. Then we have water issues. What are the main issues that we are facing? So we have one very important issue of availability. So in a way you can say crisis. Then the second issue is not only availability of water, less water, rather in some area water is there but that water is not clean. So water contamination, water pollution. So availability, contamination. Then we have water stress due to faulty agricultural practices. So the water stress due to faulty agricultural practices, as I said in the agriculture, that in some of the semi-arid area, crops like rice, sugarcane, cotton are regularly being cultivated. And if these crops are being cultivated with the help of groundwater, obviously the depletion of groundwater will happen. Then how the industry is affecting the availability of water? Some of the metallurgical industry, jute industry, sugar industry, these are the water guzzling industry. They require more and more quantity of water. When already we are facing the water issues in our country, the availability is getting affected. So in that backdrop, if the industrial use will be higher, obviously the water problem will continue. The second issue, contamination. Most of the industrial waste are directly being discharged before processing. So it is not being processed, the waste are not being processed. You will find that the rivers like Yamuna, Ganga, the clean Ganga mission, the clean Yamuna mission, which is being run almost from last 30-40 years, but we haven't achieved any major result in that. So that is primarily associated with this water and industry. Then we have the issue of harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is the key component, because if you will look out, when you will study the water resources, then you will find India is having good amount of water. So it is not that our country is not having the water, and in fact India receives around 118 centimeter of water annual rainfall. So we have sufficient amount of groundwater, we have a sufficient amount of rainwater, but still we are facing the issue of water. So it is not because the availability only. Main issue in case of water we have is management. Main issue in case of water we have is conservation. So management and conservation is important issues that we need to look out. So water harvesting through the rainwater harvesting. Then we have Jal Shakti Abhiyan. Jal Shakti Abhiyan is an umbrella program that has been launched by the government. In fact, when the NDA 2 came into the power, they have unified all the departments, all the ministries that are working related to the water. So they have unified as a one ministry, that is Jal Shakti ministry. Also the government is trying to provide the tapped water facility throughout the country, especially in the rural area, because in urban area already some form of the tap water is available, but in rural area it is not available. So government is trying to provide the tapped water facility to the most of the rural area. And how they are trying? They are trying with the Jal Jeevan mission. So you need to look out the Jal Jeevan mission. Also you need to look out the different component of the Jal Jeevan mission. So it is not only associated with the water, but also it is associated with the promotion of sanitation, and also it is associated with the promotion of hygiene. So water, sanitation, hygiene, all these. And in the end, water and climate change. How the water crisis is associated with the climate change, and in fact how the climate change is getting affected by the more and excessive use of water or changing pattern of water use. So within that backdrop, water and climate change. Regularly questions from the water resources is being asked both in the prelims examination and the mains examination. So दोनों जगह पूछा जाता, like the reference to the water on the planet Earth consists of the following statement. So what amount of water is present at where. Now, in mains examination, suggests measures to improve water storage and irrigation system to make its judicious use under depleting scenario. Elaborate the impact of national watershed projects in increasing agricultural production from water stressed areas. How will the melting of Himalayan glaciers have a far-reaching impact on the water resources of India? So, it is a very important issue. It is one of the critical geographical features. So, regularly questions being asked in the mains examination. Now, moving to the very important topic of economic geography, that is industrial activity. So, industrial activity is very important, but here the main aim of industrial activity is not to know more about industry, rather more focus is on the knowing the location of the industry, distribution of the industry, why the industry is located, where it is located. Because if you will look out the syllabus in the mains examination, GS mains, so you will find they have clearly mentioned the factors of locations of primary, secondary and tertiary industry. तो यहाँ पे जो मेन फोकस है वो इस पे रहेगा कि इंडस्ट्री यहाँ पे लोकेटेड है तो क्यों लोकेटेड है, लोकेशन पे ज़्यादा फोकस रहेगा. सो फैक्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर लोकेशन ऑफ इंडस्ट्री, देन मेजर इंडस्ट्रियल रीजन्स ऑफ आवर कंट्री, industrial corridors of our country, agro-based industry, problems, prospects, agro-based industries like sugar industries, cotton industries, jute industries, then food processing industries, how the food processing industries can change the whole dynamics of industrial activity. Because India, lot of time you must have come across that India's industrial activity or industrial sector is not performing well. So, industrial sector is not performing well in our country. Why? Because you will find that most of the time it is being focused on the some other areas like metallurgical industries, heavy industries. Less focus is on the industries related to the small scale food processing or agricultural based. One thing we need to know, you need to know as an aspirant and also as a future policy makers, that India being an agricultural country where more than 50% of the population is working in the agriculture. So, until and unless we will do the agricultural activity in such a manner that where demand will be generated for the agricultural produce, the industry will not perform. Industry will not perform, so agriculture will also not perform. क्योंकि agriculture में if they will only keep on cultivating the rice and wheat और वो rice and wheat regular consume किया जा रहा है, they are being consumed domestically, obviously it will not have the much prices, scope of prices. So, price will only rise, the prices of those commodities will only rise when it will have more and more industrial use. Food processing industries, then you will have the distribution of iron and steel industry, how these iron and steel industry have changed from the different time period, how it has shifted. Earlier it has been set up nearby the coal producing area, then to the iron ore producing areas, then you will have the coastal areas, then you will have the particularly nearby the cities. Similarly, the cotton textile, how it has grown in different time period. Then you will have MSME industry, distribution of cement industry, petroleum refining industry, where the refineries are located, why the refineries are mostly located in the 21st century nearby the particularly market, automobile industry, then you will have a FAME phase 2, then you will have the industry 4.0 industry, the FAME phase 2 associated with the EV vehicles, then you will have industry 4.0. What is this industry 4.0? So, you need to study all these. As far as the industry is concerned, the industry, from the industry you will find the top from industry regularly questions being asked both in the prelims and mains examination. Like in India, the steel production industry requires the import of, very important question, कई बार पूछा गया, account for the present location of iron and steel industry away from the source of raw material by giving example. So, location of iron and steel industry. Can the strategy of regional resource based manufacturing help in promoting employment? Discuss the factors for localization of agro based food processing industries. So industry से जो भी question रहेंगे, most of the time the question will be based on region of location, that is factors of location, or it will be associated with the locational changes. Now at the end we have transport and communication. So in transport and communication we have the mode of transportation. So we have the different modes of transportation like land transportation, water transportation, sea transportation. In land transportation you will have the roadways and also you will have the railways. How the roadways and railways are affecting our transportation, what are the different issues, what are the major transport lines, what are the different waterways, inland waterways, sea routes, port waste, waterways, what are the different ports we have, how many major ports, minor ports we have, how many national inland waterways we have. So all these, and these factual questions are very relevant for your prelims. So prelims के लिए आपको ये सारी चीजें तैयार करनी होंगी. Then you will have recent development in the transport sector. What are the major changes are being done in the transportation sector? Because in the modern time we require mass, rapid, efficient transport system. That should be mass, that should be catering to the masses, that should be rapid also, and also it should be a very efficient, that is clean energy. So rapid and efficient mass transport, like you will have the metro, you will have the monorails, then you will have new highway projects, lot of new highway projects are being launched, coastal highway projects are being launched, then you will have the different tunnels are being constructed, then like you will have high speed railway line projects, then water transport, like there has been a Ro-Ro ferry that have been launched in the Gujarat. Then the Sagar project. Sagar project is primarily for the modernization of our port facility. We have a large number of ports in our country, major ports, but you will be surprised to know that none of the port is of international standard. So why they are not of international standard? Because of the lack, some of the problems that is associated. So Sagar project is trying to look out the problem from the roots, and the main objective of Sagar project is to develop our ports to the world standard. Sagar projects, and the regularly questions are being asked from this area. Consider the following pairs: national highway cities connected, that is NH4, NH6, 15. Then in mains examination, how is efficient and affordable urban mass transport key to the rapid economic development in India? Then a question like enumerate the problems and prospect of inland water transport in India. So all these things you need to prepare for your transport. So these are the subtopics you are supposed to prepare in economic geography. If you will prepare your economic geography on the lines of the detailing that I have done, in this session, you will find that most of the questions of mains you will be able to attempt. You will not feel surprised, because most of the students' perception is that geography is all about the physical geography, India physical, and the location. So whenever the questions related to the transport, whenever the question related to energy, water resources being asked, so their thought process is that these are very generalized questions. But you need to know that these are not generalized, these are very specialized question of geography. So आपको ये भी prepare करना होगा. So you need to prepare on the lines that I have told you, the details, the subtopics that I have discussed in this session. So that's it from my side. If you have any query, any doubts, so definitely you can write, definitely you can reach us, we will definitely help you out. Thank you.